Yes, Nana. Hari Om, you can start now.
Okay. Om. 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 Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gaganasudrusham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Adha Srimad Bhagavad Gita Adha Dashamodhyayah Vibhuti Yogaha Shri Bhagavanuvacha Hamtate Kadayishyami Divyashatma Vibhutayaha Pradhanyata Kuru Sreshta Naschyanto Vistarasya Me Ahamatma Gudakesha Sarvabhutashayastitaha Ahamadischa Madhyamcha Bhutanamantayeva Adityanamaham Vishnuhu Jyotisham Raviramshuman Marichirmarutamasmi Nakshatranamaham Shashi Vedanam Samavedosmi Devanamasmi Vasavaha Indriyanam Manaschasmi Bhutanamasmi Chetana Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vittesho Yaksharakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Merushikarinamaham Purodhasam cha Mukhyam Mam Vidhi Parda Bruhaspatim Senani Namaham Skandaha Sarasamasmi Sagaraha Maharshinam Ruguraham Giramasmyaikamakaram Yajnanam Japayajñosmi Stavaranam Himalayaha Ashwetha Sarva Vrukshanam Devarshinam cha Naradaha Gandharvanam Chitrarataha Siddhanam Kapilo Munihi Uchai Shravasamaswanam Vidhi Mamamrutodhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam cha Naradhipam Ayudhanamaham Vajram Dhenu-namasmi Kamadhaka Prajanaschasmi Kandarpaha Sarpanamasmi Vasukihi Anantaschasmi Naganam Varuno Yadasamaham Pitrunam Aryamachasmi Yamasamyamatamaham Prahladaschasmi Daichanam kala kalayatamaham mruganam cha mrugendroham vainateyascha pakshinam pavana pavatamasmi ramashastra-bhrutamaham jhashanam makaraschasmi shrotasamasmi janhavi adhyatma vidya vidyanam vada pravadatamaham.
No, it is Sarganam Madirantascha.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, I read the second line first, I think. Thank you. Sarganamaadirantascha madhyam chaivaham arjuna adhyatma vidya vidyanam vada pravadatamaham. I think we'll stop here. We'll get back to 23, please. That is where we were discussing. Incidentally, any doubts in the meantime? Yeah, that's it. Any doubts?
Yeah, I think there were some questions that we wanted some clarification.
Mm-hmm.
I'm able to remember now. In our Manana yesterday, does anybody remember? We wanted to ask Nana
about
something, right?
Hari Om, about Rudra.
Yeah.
Rudra, Lord Shiva.
Whether that Shankara is the same as Shiva. Is that what it was? I can't remember that now.
Yes, Ramaraji.
In the previous shloka, Vedanam
Vedanam samavedosmi, devanam asmi vasavaha, indriyanam manasyasmi, bhutanam asmi chetana.
Yeah,
Rudranam
Rudranam
shankarasyasmi.
Shankarasmi.
Rudranam shankara.
The Shankara, Dr. Mara wanted to know whether it's the same as Shiva that we talk of.
Yes. Shankara is the same as Shiva, who is the same as Shambhu. Shambhu is mentioned as one of the Ekadasha Rudras. That Shambhu, Shankara, Shiva, they are the same. These are the Namantaras.
One more clarification. Of course, Swamiji had mentioned that the Mahavakya Tattvamasi is from Samaveda. We wanted to reconfirm that. That is one. Second, can you also say, I think if I remember right, each Veda has one Mahavakya, isn't it?
Correct.
Can you just run through that?
Yes. Samaveda, the Tattvamasi, that occurs in the Chandogya Upanishad, which is a part of the Samaveda.
Oh, so Vijayji was right, because he said it's from Chandogya Upanishad. But here in the PDF, Swamiji had mentioned it's from Samaveda.
From Samaveda, correct. That is Samaveda, as well as Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad is an antarbhagam of the Samaveda.
The Vedanta aspect of Samaveda, right?
Okay. Now, the other Mahavakyas are, one is Ayamatma Brahma, that occurs in the Mandukya Upanishad. I have a feeling it is part of the Atharva Veda. I can check up and reconfirm to you tomorrow.
Okay. No problem.
Because I could be making a mistake. I don't want you to carry that mistake forever. This Samaveda, Tattvamasi, Chandogya Upanishad, that is correct. All those things are correct. This Mandukya Ayamatma Brahma, that I think is correct, but I'll confirm. Same thing with the other two also. Other two are what?
Prajnanam Brahma.
Prajnanam Brahma. That I think it occurs in the Aitareya Upanishad. And Aham Brahmasmi. That occurs in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. As to their allegiance to the Vedas, I will tell you tomorrow. Okay?
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Tattvamasi is Chandogya.
certainly. Certainly.
Ayamatma Brahma is from Mandukya.
Mandukya, certainly. Most likely from the Atharva Veda.
Okay. And Aham
I-
Brahmasmi is Brihadaranyaka. And Prajnanam Brahma is Aitareya.
All those things I will confirm
Okay. No
tomorrow.
problem.
Okay.
No, this is just a factual knowledge, just to
Yes,
just
yes.
to
It's good.
remember.
It's
Mm.
good to know.
Mm.
Good to know good things.
Mm.
Good to know good things correctly also.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Now, Rudranam Shankarasya Vittesho Yaksharakshasam.
One second,
Vitta
I
is
think
what?
Bela had raised her hand. Bela, do you have a question?
I think it will be covered. Brahmaraji, Pitrunam, there was in one of the verses Nanaji just now read, Pitrunam also there is.
Yeah, Arjama is there.
Yeah, so
I
that
am.
will come in.
I am.
Okay.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that is
Dhanyavad.
what I said. That is what I said earlier. This Arjama is one of the Piturs. Okay? One of the Piturs. Whereas in the Dwadasha Adityas, also there is an Arjama. I do not know whether that Arjama is the same thing as the Pitrus Arjama. It may not be because the Pitru Devata cannot be one of the Dwadashadityas. Secondly, in the Dwadashadityas, there is a mention of Rudra. And that Rudra certainly cannot be one of the Ekadasha Rudras. That Rudra must be separate.
Like we have so many Sharmas and Acharyas and Dikshits and all that. So maybe they were
Very,
also
very right.
different names, maybe. Yeah.
That is, even in the ancient days, people were fond of certain names, perhaps. And the names have kind of repeated in several cases, several areas. Rudranam Shankarasyasmi Vitteshaha. Vitteshaha, the finance minister, is Kubera, and he is Yaksha Rakshasam. He is the head of the Rakshasas and the Yakshas. Vasunam Pavakasyasmi Meruhu Shikharinamaham. This is where we were yesterday. We were trying to cover how Bhishmacharya was one of the Vasus and what happened to him. Vasishtha Maharshi, when cursing these people to be born in the Bhuloka, he tells them also, he curses them also, that they shall not have progeny during their tenure in Bhuloka. That also is there. That is the Vasishtha Maharshi's curse. And one of the Vasus is Prabhasa, is it? One of the Vasus is Prabhasa. That is the last of the Vasus. The 8 Vasus are Dhara, Dhruva, Soma, Aha, Vayu, Agni, Pratyusha, and Prabhasa. This Prabhasa's wife had been a great influence on Prabhasa, erring very badly against Vasishtha Maharshi, and who got annoyed and curses all these people. Prior to this, Shantanu, he was called Mahabhisha, and he was in the Devaloka, and he was attending Brahmaji's lectures. And so too was Ganga Mai. Ganga Mai was also in the Devaloka, and she was attending Brahmaji's lectures. One day what happened, as Brahmaji was lecturing, Mahabhisha and the rest of the Devas were there, Ganga Mai came there, and her pallu has because of Vayu or so, has come out. When it came out, except this Mahabhisha, who later on became Shantanu, who was looking at her in admiration, and that Ganga Mai was also equally admiring Shantanu for looking at her. And this was noticed by Brahmaji, who summarily curses both of them to be born in the Bhuloka. And that is how this Mahabhisha becomes Shantanu, this Ganga Mai becomes the Ganga Mata, and was the attractive lady for Shantanu, who marries her on a condition. That condition we have covered yesterday. That whatever she does, whatever she may say, he should not object. The moment he objects, she will leave him. That was a condition which was accepted by Shantanu because he was quite a bit enamored of the beauty of Ganga. Now what happens? Year after year, sons were born. These sons were what? The Vasus. In the meantime, Vasus, as though request Ganga Mai to please help them get back to Devaloka as soon as possible. Ganga Mai promises, yes, I will help you. And year after year, one Vasu is born, and she will consign that Vasus, that little infant baby, day-old baby, to Ganga. Ganga is this princess Ganga, or the queen Ganga, consigns the infant to Ganga waters. And that Vasu dies, and he will be kind of liberated from Bhuloka, goes to Devaloka, and regains his Vasu status. Like that, 7 of those will go away. But before, they will go away. And the 8th one was also about to be drowned by this princess Ganga, the queen Ganga, into Ganga waters. But Shantanu says, hey, stop. You are being very, very cruel. Your own sons and my sons, you are putting them to death. What is it that they have done? Stop this kind of cruelty. Then she says, you have broken the word you have given to me. I shall leave summarily, but I will take this boy, and when he comes of age, I will hand him over to you. And that boy happens to be Bhishma. His name is Devavrata. Devavrata. That is the one who has vowed to do some kind of yajna, yaga for the devas, etc. Devavrata. That was his commitment. And that is how Bhishmacharya was born. And that is how also, though he has taken a terrible vow not to marry, as you go by, to ensure his father Shantanu marries that Satyavati. That Satyavati was Vyasa Bhagavan's mother earlier. Vyasa Bhagavan was born to Satyavati, who was rowing the boat in the Yamuna waters, when Parashar Maharshi happens to see her, and Vyasa Maharshi is born. Okay? And Satyavati's virginity was protected by Bhagavan Vyasa's father, Parashara Maharshi. Parashara Maharshi is the son of Shakti. Shakti is the son of Vasishtha. Vasishtha is the Brahma Manasa Putraha. Amongst the Saptarshis, Vasishtha is one, and all those are Brahma Manasa Putras. What are those? Who are those? Marichi, Angirasa, Atri, Pulasya, Vasishta, Pulaha, and Krato. These are the 7 Maharshis who were the Brahma Manasa Putras. Like I said earlier, these Brahma Manasa Putras, they keep on changing every Manvantara. In this Manvantara, which is Vaivasvata Manvantara, this is the list. This list keeps on changing based on which Manvantara you are living in. Okay. It is like the MPs changing
Portfolio.
every 5 years in India, like that. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Bela says Satyavati is also called Matsya Gandha.
Yeah. Yeah. Matsyagandha. And she becomes, thanks to the blessing of Parashara Maharshi, Yojana Gandhi. Yojana is equivalent to 8 miles, I believe. Yojana Gandhi. Gandha means some
Fragrance.
Punyo Gandha, that is. It is a good fragrance. Otherwise, it will be called Durgandha. Simple Gandha is a welcome fragrance. And her welcome fragrance would spread to 8 miles all around, I believe, thanks to Parashara Maharshi's blessing to her. Okay? So that is how Bhishmacharya is born. And much before he took a vow that he will be a celibate right through his life, he shall not marry. But Vasishta's curse was operative all the time. And in between, these 7 other Vasus who have been liberated from Bhuloka, they will take pity on this last Vasu, this Prabhasa, and that is the Bhishmacharya, and give from each one of them, I think about 1/4 of their power to Bhishmacharya. That is how he becomes invincible. He becomes unconquerable even to his guru Parshurama. That's how he was invincible. But somehow it's because of the Shikandi in the chariot of Arjuna, and Shikandi was throwing arrows, and Bhishmacharya has taken a vow not to fight either a lady or a lady which later became a man. And Shikandi is that category. So he has that vow, and he was a great person, Mahanubhava, and whatever he says, he has lived by whatever he has vowed. That is how it is. Okay. Rudranam Shankaraschasmi, Vittesho Yaksharakshasam, Vasunam Pavakaschasmi, Meruhu Shikarinamaham. This Meru may be Mount Everest, one won't know. And this Meru is repeatedly referred to even in the Vedas, I believe, saying Surya Deva keeps on going around the Meru. I don't know how that has come about, but that has been mentioned. Okay. Meru Shikarinamaham. We can take it as Mount Everest because that is the tallest mountain peak. Shikari means peak. Shikarinam. Amongst the peaks, I am the Meru, and there is no peak taller than Mount Everest, and so it can be perhaps taken like that. Now, this Vasunam, 8 Vasu.
It is a maybe a mundane question, but Mount Everest is part of the Himalayas, and the Himalayas are considered the youngest mountain range, no?
True,
So what we're talking of in terms of Brahma, in terms of Bhagavad Gita, this is at roughly around maybe 5,000 years ago.
Yes, it was perhaps about 5,000 years before BC.
Before Christ. And Vedas and all were there even before that, no?
Yes.
So
yeah. People say that Vedas are beginningless. Kalpadau Visrujamyaham. Kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrijamyaham. Kalpadau, at the beginning of Kalpa, Brahmaji's daytime. Brahmaji is just about yawning and getting up from his bed, and that is when Vishrujamyaham. In that creation, even the Vedas may be there. See, the date of the Vedas may be at the beginning of the Kalpas. Kalpadau Visrijamyaham may include even the Vedas. Now you are saying this Meru is referred in the Vedas, but Himalayas are the youngest of the mountain ranges. Very true. But the Himalayas were referred to in the Mahabharata. Himalayas were talked of in the Mahabharata, not only Himalayas. North of Himalayas, there is an ocean that is talked of. There's a northern ocean that is repeatedly talked of in the Mahabharata. Not only the three other seas or oceans, Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, and the Bay of Bengal, in the three directions. Okay, in the northern area, that is the Northern Sea, I believe, that was also mentioned. And
Is that
Himalaya.
Manasarovar?
No. Sarovar can't be an ocean. While Krishna Bhagavan will almost say, amongst the Sarovaras I am the ocean, he will say, there is one verse like that. Okay, but it's not Manas Sarovara. Vasunam Pavakasyasmi Meruho Shikharinamaham. I wanted to say something else before I was interrupted. Meru Shikharinamaham. This Vasunam. Amongst these 8 Vasus, Pavaka is mentioned. Pavaka is what? The one purifier. Who? Agni Deva. There is nothing more purifying than Jnanam. And the second in line for purification is Agni. Agni purifies. Vasunam Pavakasyasmi. Amongst the Vasus, there are 2 Vasus mentioned by Bhagavan Krishna in this chapter. In the Vibhuti Yoga, 2 Vasus have been mentioned. That is very remarkable. Very, very remarkable. Vasunam Pavakasyasmi. And elsewhere he says, Pavana Pavatamasmi. I am Pavanaha. Pavanaha is what? Vayu. Pavatamasmi. Amongst the flowing things I am Pavanaha. Pavana Pavatamasmi. Something else is there in that sloka. Vasunam Pavakasyasmi Meru Shikharinamaham. Now, onward march to the next verse. Yeah. Purodhasam cha mukhyam mam viddhi parda bruhaspatim senani namaham skandaha sarasamasmi sagaraha. This is where Brahmara was telling you. Sarasamasmi sagaraha. You were asking whether that is this.
The Northern Ocean.
Correct. Sarasamasmi sagaraha. So this is Sarasa is kind of a lake. Like, as against the tanks which are man-made. The tanks in Telugu we call it cheruvu. Those cheruvus, those tanks are man-made. These lakes are not man-made. These were part of the Mother Earth at the time of its evolution from Surya Deva. Okay, Sarasamasmi Sagaraha. Amongst the lakes, I am the Sagaraha. Sagaraha is what? The ocean. Purodasam cha mukhyam mam viddhi parda bruhaspatim. Amongst the Purohits, the one which is very important is Vidhi, understand here Partha, Bruhaspatim. I am Bruhaspati amongst the Purohits. Okay? Purohits. I am Bruhaspati. And Bruhaspati's father is one of the Saptarshis. One of the Saptarshis is what? Angirasa. Angirasa. Angirasa is the father of Bruhaspati, and Bruhaspati has couple of children. One is Bharadwaja. Angirasa, Bruhaspati, and Bharadwaja. This is the lineage. This is a Vamshakramana, and this is also when people are born in this line, they will
Gotra.
say, Gotra. They will say, this is my Gotra. Aham bho abhivadaye. I'm prostrating to you. I belong to this Gotra, and my forefathers were Angirasa, Bharospacha, Bharadwaja, Purodasam cha mukhyam mam, Vidhi Padda Bruhaspatim, Senani nam aham skandaha. Amongst the commanders in chief, Senani nam aham skandaha. Amongst the commanders in chief, I am Skandaha. Skandaha is Subramanya Swami, Kumara Swami. He is called Shanmukha. Several names are there. All these deities have several names. Senani namaham Skandaha, Sarasamasmi Sagaraha. Amongst the lakes, I am the very ocean. Arjuna, may you know me to be Bruhaspati, the chief among the priests. Among the commanders in chief, I am Skanda. Among the waters, reservoirs, I am the ocean. Now this Skanda, it is very, very interesting to know how he was born. Very, very interesting to know. When Bhagavan Shankara and Mother Parvati were together, okay, in Kailasa, and the Devas were very anxious that they bring out a son who will be the protector of the Devas against some Rakshasas. Okay. Against some
Taksha, I
Rakshasas.
think, no? Was it Taksha? Taksha.
Which one?
Taksha, the Rakshasa that.
No. Sri Tripurasura Samhari is Bhagavan Ishvara himself. Tarakasura is the Rakshasa.
Asura. Right.
Tarakasura. Okay. And the Tarakasura he was tormenting all the Devas to no end, and he was given a lot of blessing by Brahmaji himself because of his very serious and very profound penance. Brahmaji had to eat and give him a lot of boons. And this Skanda, when Mother Parvati and Shankara, they were together in private in Kailasa, these Indra and other gods, they have approached Kailasa and went on pressing the bell, calling bell. And Mother Parvati got annoyed, and at that time, she cursed all the Devas that they shall not have any progeny. You fellows, when we are together and enjoying each other's company, you deem it necessary to disturb us, etc. Now, in the meantime, the Skanda, how the name Skanda has come is Bhagavan Shankara's, what do you call, not serum, what do you call that?
The third eye.
Huh? That is called not serum. It is, anyway, Bhagavan Shankara, because of the condition in which he was with Mother Parvati, he as though, what is that?
Semen? Semen. Shankara.
Semen. His semen falls. That fall is called Skanda. Okay, that fall is called Skanda, and it is so very powerful, very, very hot. Then Bhagavan Shankara There comes Agni Deva. Agni Deva is fire god, to hold it and protect it. Agni Deva holds and protects for some time, unable to hold the tremendous brilliance. He dumps it in Mother Ganges. And Mother Ganges holds for some time, and unable to hold any longer, she dumps it amongst some bushes. Okay, and that is how in the bushes he becomes a child, and this child was given food by the 6 Kritika Devis. So that is how he becomes Kartikeya, this Kanda who becomes Kartikeya. And he was only having one head. When one Kritika offers her breast to him for food, he has just one head. Then the second Kritika offers her breast, he develops another head. Like that, 6 heads he will develop. He is called Shanmukha. Shat is 6. Shanmukha. Mukha is face. He is the one God with 6 faces. And Skandaha, Shanmukha, Kartikeya, etc. All this. That is the story regarding Skanda. Now, if you ask, whose son is he? It is very, very interesting to know that Bhagavan Shankara is generally considered to be a family man, because amongst Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, he is the one who is kind of portrayed in all Puranic literature, etc., as the one who is always with Mother Parvati and 2 of his sons, Ganesha and Skanda. Now, Ganesha is born to who? This question I asked. Ganesha
Parvati.
is the one son born to a mother and killed by his father. Is it not?
Correct.
Ganesha was killed by Shankara, who was his father. Okay, and Skanda, whose son is he? Now, this Ganesha is whose son? Mother Parvati's son or Shankara's son? So, these, in spite of his being called a family man, this kind of way question arises. Ganesha is whose son? Skanda is whose son? Is Skanda the son of Shankara, or Shankara of Mother Parvati, or the son of Agnideva, or the son of Mother Ganges, or the son of Bhumata, into whose bushes the Ganga Mai has somehow deposited this brilliant child, and are the Kritikas the mothers? In which case, who is the father? These funny questions will arise. These are good to entertain, but not to go forward with. Have the Shraddha that this Skanda, same Skanda, Shanmukha, and Subramanya, Kartikeya, he was the commander-in-chief of the Devata forces, and he has done away with that Tarakasura. That's it. Okay. 9, 10. Okay. Arjuna, may you know me to be Brihaspati, the chief among the priests, among the commanders in chief. I am Skanda, among the water reservoirs. I am the ocean. Ocean, Sagara. The Sagara, how that name has come, you people know? Yeah, when some other occasion comes,
Bhagirathi.
Huh?
Bhagirathi's father or son is Sagara, no?
Yeah, in a way you are right. In a way you are right. Sagara. Okay. Sagara is Sagara. Who is Sagara? Sagara is considered Bhagavan Rama's ancestor.
Bhagirath's grandfather, I think he is, no?
Bhagiratha was perhaps the great-great-grandfather of
Son.
Sri Rama.
Ah.
And this Sagara, his name Sagara, Sagara. Gara is what? Garalam, poison. Sagara. Together with poison, that prince was born. Sagara is, we will cover that story on another occasion when it comes. Okay, now we should cover at least a couple of verses. Maharshinam Bhruguraham. Yeah. Maharshinam Bhruguraham Giram Asmekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japa Yajñosmi Stavaranam Himalaya. Like I was mentioning, amongst the Vasus, two are mentioned. Indirectly, Himalaya is mentioned as though twice. Stavaranam, amongst those who are, Stavaranam means Stavaram Jangamam Yaptam Yatkinchit Jaracharam. Stavaranam means that which is not movable. Stavaranam Aham Himalaya. And in the Himalaya peaks, that Meruhu Shikarinamam. So, as though Himalayas were mentioned twice. Maharshinam Bhruguhu Aham. Amongst the Maharshis, I am the Bhrugu. And Bhrugu is the cause for our worship of Bhagavan Shankara in the Lingakara. He is the cause. And he is also the cause for Balaji Venkateshwara Swami. Okay? The Govinda. Whenever you go to Tirumala, you will say Govinda, Govinda, Govinda. And that Govinda was caused by Bhrigu. Maharshinam Bhruguraham. And the same Bhrigu was insulted by who?
Lakshmi Devi, no?
No. By when Daksha has conducted that yajna, Daksha yajna, when his own son-in-law Shankara was not invited, his daughter Parvati begs of Shankara to go there. He would advise her not to go. Uninvited, please don't go. She says, no, where is the invitation required from parents? Let me go, etc. And she immolates herself, thinking of Shankara's advice. This Daksha insults her during the yajna. Afterwards, Shankara produces who? Kala Bhairava. Is it not the deity's name Kala Bhairava? And
Veerabhadra.
Huh?
Yeah.
Veerabhadra, correct. Veerabhadra, right. I am wrong, correct. Veerabhadra. And that Veerabhadra, why I remembered that Veerabhadra is, he goes to the Daksha Yajna, he makes mincemeat of almost everybody there. And one of them was Bhrigu Maharshi. He simply, this Veerabhadra, he will pull his beard out and throw him out. And this Daksha was, his head was cut away and thrown into the Yajna Kunda. The Yajna he was doing, in that his head was thrown by this Veerabhadra. So many things he will do. Not only that, Pusha is one of the Adityas, is it not? Pusha is one of the Adityas. And Pusha, Aditya, these people say these Dvadas Adityas are the same sun who keeps on moving month after month in different constellations. That is how the Dvadash Adityas, 12 months, he will complete one round. That is how that lower also is there. One of these so-called Suryas moving through the constellations is Pusha. And this Veerabhadra also simply knocks off the teeth of Pusha. And afterwards, even in the Puranas, there is a reference that Pusha takes only what is very, very liquid. Solid food he cannot take because he does not have teeth. Pusha, he will insult Pusha, he will insult Bhrigu Maharshi, and Daksha himself is eliminated. All those things. Mahabhibhatsam that happens. Daksha yajna dvamsaka. Maharshinam Bhruguraham Giram Asmi Ekam Aksharam. Ekam Aksharam. Giram is amongst the words. Amongst the words, I am Ekam Aksharam. The one single letter word I am. What is that single letter word?
Om.
Om. Aham Onkaraha. Maharshinam Rugaraham. Giram Aham Onkaraha. Giram Asmi Ekaikam Aksharam. Maharshinam amongst the sages. Aham Bhruguhu. I am Bhrugu. Giram amongst the words. Ekam Aksharam Aham Asmi. I am the single syllable. Om. Yajnanam amongst the yajnas. I am Japa Yajnaha. Japa Yajnaha. I am this Japa Yajnaha is not a Dravya Yajna. In the 4th chapter we have covered Dravya Yajna, Tapo Yajna, Jnana Yajna, Parantapa, Sarvam Karma, Khilam Pardha, Jnane Parisamapyate. That we have seen. This Japa Yajna is unobtrusive and it is more like you are meditating yourself. It is your private meditation. Japa Yajna is that it is your own. And this Japa is either done slightly loud or as though not heard but heard by you only or not heard even by others, not by you also. Inside your mind, Japa Yajna. Amongst the yajnas, I am Japa Yajna. Sthavaranam Himalaya. And Bhrigu, I was telling you, he was the cause of our worship of Bhagavan Shankara in the Lingakara. What happened is, some rishis, they were performing one Dirgha Yajna and things like that. And they wanted to know who is the Yajna Phala Bhokta. So they have as though commissioned this Bhrigu Maharshi to go inquire from the three Trimurtis, Vishnu, Brahma, Maheshwara, as to who is more fitting for being a Bhokta. Then I believe he goes to Brahmaloka, and Brahmadeva was in kind of an ecstasy of joy listening to Mother Saraswati's Veena Ganam. Veena Ganam. What is Mother Saraswati's Veena's name? Narada's Veena is Mahati. Saraswati's Veena's name that occurs in the Lalita Sahasranamam, I forgot now, I'll tell you. He kind of beckons to Brahmadeva. Aham bho adhivadaye, he will say. I am prostrating to you. Bhrigu Maharshi tells Brahmadeva, but Brahmadeva was in no mood to listen. Then he curses Brahmadeva and says, you will not have any temple in Bhuloka. And that is almost true. Except perhaps one place or so in Himalayas where Brahmadeva is venerated and he has a temple. No other place he has a temple. Okay, then he goes to Kailasa. And in Kailasa, and Lord Shiva and Parvati, they were doing together the Tandava Nrityam, and they were highly pleased with their dance, and they have forgotten the rest of the world. He beckons to them, and they do not answer. Then he curses Shiva, Lord Shiva. You will have only, because you are so enamored of your wife, you shall have only Lingakara puja to you in the Bhuloka. Then he goes to Vaikuntha. When he goes to Vaikuntha, Mahalakshmi and Vishnudeva, they were also in like mood. When Bhrigu Maharshi, now out of tremendous rage, because the two devas have insulted him, he could not withstand. The third deva also in like manner insulting him. He kicks Bhagavan Vishnu on the chest, on the left side of the chest, which was Lakshmi Nivasasthanam. And Lakshmi Devi gets annoyed, goes away, walks off Vaikuntham. And the Purana says, Vishnu Bhagavan goes after her and he lands up in Tirumala. That is how he is Govinda. And if you consider the Tirumala photos, Tirumala Swami, Govinda, and Alivelu Manga together, that photo, where is Alivelu Manga? On the right side or left side of Govinda?
Left side.
No. Left side is preserved
Sorry,
for
right side. Right side.
Mahalakshmi.
Right side. Sorry,
It is
yeah.
always on the right side.
Yeah.
Because what was preserved for Mahalakshmi cannot be usurped by even Padmavati. That is the message. So that is how Bhrigu Maharshi is having that kind of a background. Maharshi Nam Bhriguraham. Incidentally, there is another background to Bhrigu Maharshi. Bhrigu Maharshi is the cause for Ramavatara also. You know how Bhrigu Maharshi had a wife who was a great devotee of Vishnu, Bhagavan Vishnu. Right? Now, Rakshasas, they were tormenting the Devas to no end. And they were behaving in a very adharmic way. And Bhagavan Vishnu has vowed to protect Dharma, is it not? So he had to eliminate these adharmic Rakshasas. Those people, because of their Guru Vakya, Shukracharya's advice, they take shelter behind Mrs. Bhrigu Vanita. They take shelter behind Mata Bhrigu Maharshi's wife. And she was a great devotee of Vishnu Bhagavan. And Vishnu Bhagavan, what does he do now? He has to eliminate adharmic people. But adharmic people have taken shelter behind the great bhakta of him. What does he do? This is where the Vishesha Dharma comes. And Bhagavan Vishnu decides to do away with his own bhakta. And afterwards, he does away with the Rakshasas. Bhrigu Maharshi comes to know this. And he curses Vishnu. I am without wife. I am, suffering in her absence. You shall also suffer in the absence of your wife for a number of years. And that is the cause for Ramavatara, I believe. That is how Paraniya Bhagavan Rama was without mother Janaki. 13 years they were together in the forest. 14th year, this Ravana, he takes away
I'm
Janaki.
wondering, like, why this rishis even curse the gods and the devas. They can do that.
See, these are the stories to elevate our good emotions sky high.
Hmm.
That is the purpose of Puranas.
Hmm.
Not that whatever is mentioned in the Puranas must be taken as absolutely true. The only thing that should be taken as absolutely true is the Shruti Vakya.
Okay, okay. Got it.
Shruti Vakya.
Hmm.
That is why
But
Shruti.
but these rishis had a lot of mantra shakti, no? So whatever they said, either blessed or cursed, would come true.
Yeah, correct. They have a lot of tapashakti. And the Shakti was, some of them used properly, some of them abused. Even Bhagavan Vasishtha Maharshi also has abused. He has abused his tapashakti twice. Once he curses one Ikshvaku king, and that Ikshvaku king, for no fault of his, was cursed. He was about to counter curse Vasishtha Maharshi. Then his wife comes in the way. Hey, he is our Purohita. He is our Rajaguru. You shall not curse him. Then he says, he has already taken the waters to curse him. He puts the waters on his feet and he becomes Kalmasha Pada. His feet become absolutely dark. Kalmasha Pada. That is, he was a king. That is another story. We will see. Too many stories are there. My God.
Nanaji, I have
Huh?
I have two small doubts.
Uh-huh.
One is this Brihu Maharshi is different from Brahaspati, right?
Bhrigu Maharshi
Is different from Brahaspati. Brahaspati
correct.
is the guru
Correct.
of the devas. Okay.
Very right.
And Alamelumanga and Padmavati Mata, they are
Are-
Bhudevi, is it? They are not
Al-
Mahalakshmis.
Padmavati are same.
Okay. And they are Bhudevi, not Sri Devi. Isn't
They are not
it?
Sri Devi. I don't know whether Bhudevi or not. Certainly they are not Mahalakshmi.
Okay. So
They are,
like Narayana has Bhudevi and Sri Devi. That's how they show the Venkateshwara pictures
yeah.
as both.
Yeah,
So
okay.
on the left is Mahalakshmi's Sri Devi, and
Hmm.
right is Padmavati or Alamelumanga Bhudevi, right?
Maybe so. Very right.
Okay,
Maybe right.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So where are we now? Now where are we? Maharshina Mruguraham Giramasmekam Aksharam
Yajnanam
Yajnanam
japa
Yajnosmi
yajnosmi.
Savaranam Himalaya. This Bhrigu Maharshi has taken the cake today. He has taken a lot of our time, and thanks to his greatness, perhaps, Bhrigu Maharshi. And not only he is great, his wife perhaps is even greater. She was the great Bhakta of Vishnu. And Bhrigu Maharshi's progeny are very, very illustrious. One of the sons of Bhrigu Maharshi is who? Shukracharya. He is the Daitya Guru. Like
Yes.
Brahaspati is the Devaguru, Bhrigu Maharshi's son, Shukracharya, is the Daitya Guru. He also gets annoyed at Vishnu and the host of the Devatas. How dare you kill my wife? And he says he will be inimical to Vishnu and all his clan in the form of the Devatas. That is how he became the Daitya Guru, Shukracharya. Okay. Yeah, 9:30.
Who is Bhrigu Maharshi's father?
Bhrigu, I really don't know.
He is not one of the Saptarishis, no?
No. In some texts of the Puranas, Bhrigu is mentioned as one of the Saptarshis.
Mm.
But like I said, it keeps on changing based on the Manvantara. Maybe in the earlier Manvantara, he was perhaps one of the Saptarshis. Okay?
Mm.
We don't know. And why I was talking about Vasishtha, he has cursed his own his own king. Later on, Vasishtha curses the king of Videha. Videha means without Deha. Videha. That
You
we
mean King
will see.
Janaka?
Maybe one of you remind me. We will cover that. That is how. And the king there is so very powerful. Nimi is the name of the king. Nimi curses Vasishtha also. And Vasishtha is kind of eliminated in the body. And later on, this Brahmamanasa Putra Vasishtha, who is one of the Saptarshis, he will be born to Mitra and Varuna. Mitra and Varuna. We will see that. Okay. Hari Om, everybody. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramayah. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. These Puranas will take a lot of our time during the Vibhuti Yoga. This you will have to put up with. Okay? If
No,
you
it is actually interesting. It is
Very interesting. Dhanyavad, Nanaji. It is so very interesting.
Okay.
Dhanyavad.
Nanaji, how do you know so much?
Yeah, okay, thank you. Only
No,
thing is,
how? Tell
Hmm.
us how.
only thing is, it should be the beginning for all you to get into touch with Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavata, Ityadi, Puranas and Itihasas. There is an immense load of tons of inputs which will really make you feel extremely happy. And you will come to know what is dharma, what is adharma, what is samanya dharma, what is vishesha dharma, what is raja dharma, what is moksha dharma, so many dharmas. All those things you will get to know through Mahabharata. And Mahabharata is available with Dr. Brahmara. If any of you desire, you please get in touch with her. She will send it to you. Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om,
Om,
Nana.
Nanaji.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om Nana.
Hari Om.
Bye.